My hair is being so annoying. I just, you know? As I'm recording this video, it is February 26th, which I don't know if you know what that means, but as soon as I woke up, I did. It means Fuller House came on Netflix. Pretty much my childhood years were devoted to Boy Meets World, Gilmore Girls, Full House, and now they're all getting revivals, which is freaking amazing. Fuller House, let me just add, in the first episode, did the cutest flashback ever, and the title screen was awesome, and it's kind of cheesy, but you know, we love it anyway because nostalgia. So long story short, I've been sitting in bed watching episodes of Fuller House all morning. We've gotten so sidetracked now though. I started this video so I could talk to you guys about the Gilmore Girls revival. Never publicly talked about, well, I mean I have publicly, but not on YouTube, talked about my love for Gilmore Girls. When I was 9 years old, I went downstairs to watch Boy Meets World or something, and Gilmore Girls was on 11 a.m. every weekend on ABC Family. I watched one episode, I got hooked. I've seen each episode now like 10 times each. Not even lying. That is the truth, and I'm not even a little bit ashamed of it. I am so obsessed with this show, in fact, that me and my mom are trying to work together to figure out some kind of trip to LA we can take so we can tour the WB lot and I can actually be in Stars Hollow. I thought my roommate was passing by and I didn't want to be like, camera, when she walked in because that'd be weird. This is what I predict is going to happen in the revival, and for those of you that do not watch Gilmore Girls, sorry. I just need to have this moment right now. I hope you understand. When we left off season 7, which by the way, Amy Sherman-Palladino was not a part of, so certain things probably did not go the way she would have intended them to go, but she said nothing major happened that moved the plot away from where she always wanted it to end, which is good. But we have to look at it. This is years later, so that makes everything a little more confusing. So in the years that have passed, I really hope that Lorelai and Luke got together. I know that it's gonna suck for us because we won't be able to see the wedding, but would we really want to go into the show knowing years have passed and they're still not married just so we can see the wedding? I personally wouldn't. I would like them to be married already, figured all that crap out, and living happily in Lorelai and Luke's house. And okay, I know we can all hate on April because she kind of did come into the show abruptly and, you know, f*** everything up, but you know, it wasn't her fault that Mama Nardini kept all of this stuff from her. She just wanted to figure out who her dad was, and I mean, she did. And you gotta love her because she is also a really smart girl who's focusing on school and stuff that we can look up to. And I only hope that when we see her again, she is in college or going on to college. I'm not really sure how old she'd be, but I really hope she's still focusing on her education and that her and Lorelai have a really cute stepdaughter-stepmother relationship going on. I'm gonna save Rory stuff till the end because I have a lot to say about this, so let's just go on to other characters for right now. As we know, entering the show, Richard will not be there because Edward Herrmann sadly passed. I remember when I was on Twitter when this had happened and Gilmore Girls was trending, and I was like, why is Gilmore Girls trending? And it was because Edward Herrmann died, and oh my god, I bawled, I cried because, you know, he's so loving towards Rory and like such a good male figure in their lives. You can really relate him to a strong male figure in your life, like my grandfather or my dad, and it was a really sad moment. So I went back and I watched a bunch of like cute like Ed Herrmann moments on Gilmore Girls. But since he sadly will not be here for the revival, we're going to see a husbandless Emily, and oh, that's gonna be tough. Does anyone remember the episode where Richard got angina? I think it was in like the first season. Jane Lynch was like guest starring, and he was trying to tell her where his will is, and she turns it to him and she goes, nope, Richard, I refuse to let you die first. Actually, I insist to go first, or something like that. And he goes, yes dear, you may go first. And it just breaks my heart that, you know, sometimes life doesn't listen to Emily Gilmore even though it should. So I really don't know where the story's gonna go with that. I've heard rumors that Emily might get a new love interest, which could get interesting. There was one scene when Gran and Emily were like finally rekindling their relationship, or bonding at least at first, and Emily had caught Gran with kissing a man in a purple tracksuit, and she was like, why didn't you tell anyone? And Gran was like, I was married to my husband. I'm in love with my husband. And I didn't want anyone to think I had strayed from that love, because I still am in love with my husband, but he's gone now. And so what am I supposed to do? Like, I have needs. Like, it was like, that's not quote for quote, but it was like something along those lines. And so I feel like Emily's probably going to be reflecting and looking back on that moment a lot. And maybe we'll see a new relationship in her future. With her relationship with Lorelai, I hope by now they've like figured stuff out. Of course, they'll fight still, because we all need to see a good Gilmore Girl fight. But hopefully there's no like deep-seated hatred, not hatred's the bad word, you know, ugliness. That would be a bummer if, like, after all these years they still hold grudges with each other. Now, with the town. So I have been keeping track on these updates like a mad woman, and there's going to be a lot of new characters, and I feel like a lot of these new characters that are going to be showing up are just new random people in the town, keeping it lively, because obviously people are going to move in over these years. So if there's anyone worrying about too many characters coming in and taking away time from the old characters who are the ones we really want to see, sorry new characters, I don't think you really have to worry, because I feel like they're just the quirky people there to add in little comments and be nosy and go to town meetings. There are a few new characters though that I have predictions about. So while reading the update list, there is a new character who is a magazine editor, I want to say, and he's a guy, and I have a feeling when we enter the story he will be Rory's boyfriend at the time, or at least thing, like they're talking, something's happening. With the old town members, you love them, you can't live without them. I think they're probably all doing the same thing. I mean, if they're all still on Stars Hollow, then they're all probably doing the same thing. Lane and Zach, I am hoping that Hep Alien reunited after all these years and they still play stuff and go to shows along the East Coast and up in New York and DC and stuff, and they're just like having the best time, and that their sons are awesome. Paris and Doyle. Okay, so this is what I think. Does anyone remember that episode where Rory had a dream, Lorelai went to Hawaii, and then Paris and Doyle were like living in their house, and they're like, do you need money, kid? And then like gave her a stick, she had to go do community service or something. Do you guys remember that? Well, I feel like Paris and Doyle are living that life where they are married and they have two perfect looking children that just seem very stressed out. Obviously it's not in Lorelai and Rory's house. It's probably in some beautiful apartment in Manhattan or some townhouse in DC, because maybe they're like writing for the Washington Post, or Paris is working for Johns Hopkins or something. I honestly think Paris became an awesome doctor and Doyle is probably working for some newspaper or like some politician or something. Okay, now Rory's boyfriends. At one point, I was a lover of Dean, of Jess, of Logan, but some of them just screwed up. Dean. Okay, so Dean, perfect first boyfriend. That scene where he comes to her school and he's about to leave and she goes, don't, and he's like, why? And she's like, because I love you, idiot. Oh, I loved that. But you know, long story short, he got married and then he cheated on his wife with Rory, and that's just not cool. And then they were back together and he was having all these trust issues again, and he sees her with Logan and he's like, I'm out. Jerk. He just had trust issues. He cheated on his wife for Rory. Most awkward first time ever, by the way, although I do love the scene where she like plays their song. That's so cute. But overall, just Dean and... Okay, now let's talk about Logan, because Jess is my favorite and we're saving him for last. Logan was my favorite at one point. Hated him when I first met him, thought he was a jerk. I was like, who is this like douchey little asshole trying to like, you know, get our girl to do bad things? And then I was like, oh, you know, yeah, he's pretty cool. Risk taker. Rory needs to experience things. And I was like, alright dude, you know, we were fine. Then they were like in love and I was like, oh, he changed him, he changed her, it's beautiful. Then he went to like Puerto Rico and started acting like a jerk, and then Rory dropped out of Yale, stupidest thing ever. And then everything was okay again. And then he proposed to her. And yes, I've had my problems with Logan, but I just gotta stick with Rory's heart on this. And the thing that Lorelai said to her, she was like, one day you're gonna meet a guy and when he proposes to you, you're just gonna wanna say yes and not think about it. So as much as we would love, hate Logan, and no matter what anyone's opinions of him are, in the end, Rory did not choose to get engaged with him because in her heart she just felt he wasn't the one, and that is how I feel about it. So Logan may be coming back, but I don't think it's for Logan and Rory to be back together forever. I'm sorry people that ship Logan, I understand, but I just don't think it's gonna happen. Now, for the ultimate babe, Jess Mariano. Oh my god, when I was like 11 probably when Jess showed up, like on like when I was watching it, I was like, ooh, cute boy. And then he ended up like being on Heroes too. And if any of you watch Heroes, you know, tell me down below because I'd love to talk about Heroes one day. Jess Mariano was my favorite ever. He like worked so hard to get Rory, and yes, I will admit, he was such a jerky guy. He says he loves her and then leaves, and he calls her like on her graduation and says nothing, and he just like up and leaves and goes to California for that spin-off show. He had a lot of problems, but he was always the best for Rory because he always was able to push her in the right direction, especially when he came back and she had dropped out of Yale. He was like, Rory, what are you doing? This isn't you. And then the next day, she's back in Yale, she's back with her mom, and everything's cool again, you know? Never was the right time for them, and he says in one scene, like, it is what it is, you, me, you know? And I think that's just because it's never been the right time for them, but maybe in these upcoming revival episodes, we will see a Rory and Jess reunion and it'll be beautiful. But also that's a little weird because like Lorelai and Luke are married now, so that kind of makes them like step cousins? But we're not gonna think about that. We're just gonna think about Rory and Jess together forever, at least in this blogger's opinion. But let's talk about Rory and this revival, okay? We're gonna start this revival off and she's gonna be with new fancy magazine editor guy, and she's gonna be on the fence like, do I want to marry him? Do I not? Because he is going to propose at one point. This is my prediction, okay? He is going to propose in the first installment of the revival, and then Logan's going to show up out of the blue nowhere, and she's going to be like, oh, this guy just proposed to me, and he's going to be like, well, remember when I proposed to you? He's going to say something along the lines of, well, I proposed to you, you know, like, this is a relatable experience. Let's have that apply to your situation right now. And then she's gonna remember like what her mom told her, like someday someone's just gonna ask you and you're gonna want to say yes, and she's like, oh, I don't just want to say yes, and she's gonna say no to fancy magazine editor guy. And then the first installment of the revival is gonna be over because I'm pretty sure Logan's only on the first one anyway. And then she's gonna be in Stars Hollow, and Jess is gonna show up and she's gonna be like, oh, Jess. And oh, also just to like talk about her life after these years, I think she is a bomb newspaper editor, journalist. Rory is killing it. Let's disregard her love life for a second because that is not the most important thing about this character, and let's talk about how far her education and her goals have gotten her, because I'm telling you, she killed it on the Obama like campaign trail election, and Obama won that year, so I'm thinking like she went even farther with it and maybe like started writing for like bigger magazines or newspapers, and she's gonna be doing something awesome. But now back to her love life. She's gonna see Jess and it's gonna be like, will they, won't they, and then they will, and then I'll cry and it'll be awesome, and then Dean will like bag their groceries one day. That's what I think is gonna happen. Okay, so I think I've talked about pretty much all of it. I had to get out all of this because I've been thinking about it for so long because I love Gilmore Girls so much. Guys, I'm telling you, Gilmore Girls, Golden Girls, Girl Meets World, those are my shows right now. They all involve girls, so girl power. Thank you for watching. If you're excited for the revival, give it a thumbs up. Comment down below anything about Gilmore Girls that you want to talk about, or anything about any of the other shows I mentioned, because I am a TV lover. And I'll see you this Friday. Yeah. Okay, bye! I totally forgot to mention during this, I totally think Melissa McCarthy is coming back. I know all the websites will tell you that she's not and she hasn't confirmed it, and I know what she tweeted, I know she said she was never invited back, But Amy Sherman Palladino I don't think would ever do that. I think they would definitely invite Melissa McCarthy back 100%, and I think they're keeping it all under wraps to pull a Steve Carell in the Office thing. You know, like in the last season where he showed up for Dwight's wedding and like everyone had said he wasn't going to come but then he did. They're totally going to pull that. Melissa McCarthy's going to show up in one episode and be Suki, and she's going to make amazing food and it's going to be amazing, and I'm going to be telling you, I told you so, and that better happen or I'll cry, because what is Stars Hollow without Suki St. James? Whew. And Jackson was also confirmed to come back, so it can't be, like, Jackson can't break up with Suki. That would never happen. Okay, bye.